The cliffhanger in New Hampshire happens tonight. Somebody's going to fall off that cliff. We're going to find out who. We'll know more tomorrow morning. But boy, oh boy, there's a lot riding for Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Joe Biden, the Democrat Party. We're going to talk about that tonight. I am Randall Terry. This is Voice of Resistance. There's nothing to see here, people. Nancy Pelosi's mumbling and tearing up a speech, premeditated. Donald Trump's acquitted. Democrats in Iowa can't count votes. Democrats in New Hampshire, they don't know what to do. They're going to the polls confused. Nothing to see here, people. The Democrat Party's doing fine, just fine. I was reading a poll this morning. It's Tuesday night, and late tonight or early in the morning, we will have the results of the New Hampshire primary. But according to one story that I read, it's the largest number of undecided votes in New Hampshire that they've had. So we're literally the day of the primary, and people still don't know who they're going to vote for, who are Democrats. They know that they want to see President Trump defeated, but they're looking at Bernie, they're looking at Elizabeth, they're looking at Biden, they're looking at Buttigieg, and they don't know what to do. We'll know more as the night progresses and tomorrow. But let me talk to you a minute about each of the individual candidates and what this means for them. As interesting and crazy as it sounds, Joe Biden, Vice President Joe Biden, is still the national frontrunner. In national polls, Biden is barely ahead right now. Now, I'm going to admit that I may have made a mistake. I predicted a Biden-Buttigieg ticket. I said it's Biden's race to lose. And by golly, he's going for it. He's going for the loss. He's grasping victory out of the jaws. How does that go? He's grabbing defeat out of the jaws of victory. We'll see what happens. He's still ahead by a significant margin in South Carolina. He's still ahead in the polling in Nevada. So we've got New Hampshire tonight, and then you've got Nevada and South Carolina. Biden says he's in it for the long haul. He's struggling to raise money, but he is still raising money. His campaign says they're bringing in about $500,000 a day. But if he does not do well in Nevada and in South Carolina, then the only reason he would stay in the race is to be the candidate of choice at a brokered convention. Now, I'm going to come back to that. But bottom line is that Biden could come in third tonight. He could come in as poorly as fifth. Sanders is clearly going to carry the state. Buttigieg, it looks like he's going to come in second. And then there's a three-way race for third between Amy Klobuchar, Elizabeth Warren, and Joe Biden. Biden really needs to take third place, but we'll see what's going to happen. Having said all that, Biden would still be the candidate of choice for moderate and older Democrats. Biden, to quote Dr. Alan Keyes, Biden is the smell that you're used to. So you go into some people's homes and there's a smell, but the people who live there are used to it. So Joe Biden has the fragrance of the Democrat, the corruption, but just a little bit of corruption and baby killing and weird sexual agendas and socialism light and kind of an uneasy wedding with Wall Street and with the military industrial complex. He was the vice president under Barack Obama. He's the smell that you're used to. And frankly, I believe if he had been the candidate in 2016 instead of Hillary, we might be looking at President Biden right now. I don't know. I'm glad that it didn't work out that way. But Biden would have been a much more formidable candidate against Trump than Hillary Clinton. So Biden is definitely going to stay in the race through South Carolina. And then the question is, if he wins Nevada or comes in second and he takes South Carolina, he's going to be in a cluster of people as far as delegates are concerned. Then what? I don't see any way around talking about Mike Bloomberg and about Bernie Sanders. Let me take a break. So you've got Biden out here, still the national front runner, but doing poorly in New Hampshire, did really bad in Iowa, but still polling ahead in Nevada and South Carolina. But over here you got Bernie, and over here you've got Mike Bloomberg. And those factors mean that we could be going to a very significant convention. Please don't go away. Introducing Roxy Guitar. If you're a guitar or bass player, whether you play acoustic or electric, check out Roxy Guitar. I've been playing for over 40 years and seen guitar stores all over America. I've never seen a store like Roxy Guitar. Roxy Guitar has over 700 guitars in stock, over 1,500 pedals, over 200 amps. For the beginner or price-conscious buyer, there's Michael Kelly guitars. For the serious player or professional, Roxy Guitar has the finest selection of guitar lines I've ever seen. You know I love Warrior guitars. Roxy Guitar has over 100 Warriors in stock. They have Heritage, G&L, Gretsch, John Sears, BC Rich, Duesenberg, Dean, legendary guitars at great prices, including pre-owned Gibsons, Fenders, and more. Let them know you heard about Roxy Guitar from Randall Terry and receive 10% or more off your purchase on select items. Go to roxyguitar.com. Bernie Sanders. Senator Bernie Sanders is the real deal. In my opinion, he's in the Democrat batch. He is probably, really without exception, the most honest candidate up there. He tells it like he sees it. Now, I believe that Bernie Sanders is wrong on almost everything he believes, but there's an old expression that's worth grasping, understanding, and really living by. He who frames the question wins the debate. If you accept Bernie Sanders' premise, the premise of communism is that the first duty of government is the redistribution of wealth. Did you hear me? Government exists to redistribute wealth. That is the core of communism and socialism. Bernie Sanders went on his honeymoon in Russia. Bernie Sanders believes in communist ideology and in socialist ideology. I don't want to get into the differences between them right now, but it has to do with the levels of ownership of private property and the means of production, okay? Bernie Sanders is the real article. The problem is, or the question is what he believes right? The scriptures teach that the primary purpose of government is to suppress and to punish evil. Read Romans 13. Nothing about the redistribution of wealth. Now, I'm going to be one of those crazy people that believes that what God says in his holy word is unchanging, unimprovable, without a peer, much less without a superior. How can anybody be smarter or wiser or more just than Almighty God? Now, Bernie Sanders rejects Mosaic law, Moses' law. He rejects the rules and the rule of Christ. So his premise is different than a Christian premise. The Christian premise is God is, and he has spoken. And what he has spoken is unimprovable, unreproachable, without flaw, without equal. So when I say Bernie's the real article, I mean he is the most consistent, honest evildoer and promoter of lies in the Democrat Party. He's not trying to be Machiavellian. He's not saying one thing publicly and believing another privately. He says what he believes. And he's raising more money than all the other candidates, people. And he has the most stable support of all the Democrat candidates. So a Democrat socialist, self-avowed Democrat socialist, self-proclaimed Democrat socialist, could win the Democrat nomination with this one problem. The Democrat machine knows that if Bernie Sanders wins the nomination, that the Democrats are probably going to lose not just the presidency, because he can't beat Trump as a socialist. It's highly unlikely. So they won't just lose the U.S. the presidency, they will lose the U.S. House. They won't take the Senate, and they'll lose the House. And the reason is straight line party votes. So presidential years are unique. Presidential elections are unique because it's the highest voter turnout, average-wise, across the nation. And it's also a time when people walk into a voting booth and vote party line. So there's a line of candidates that are Republicans and a line of candidates that are Democrats. And depending on if there's any third parties in your state, there'll be a line of candidates. So there are a good number of people during a presidential year that walk in and start at the top of the ticket, president, and then go to U.S. Senator, governor, or U.S. House, and then just go click, 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 click down a party line. There's enough people in the Democrat Party, certainly enough independents, who recognize that socialism as a political system ends up looking like Venezuela or Greece or Cuba. It just doesn't work. It's never worked. And the reason it has never worked is because it's not possible to work, because it is a violation of human nature and the laws of God. God made laws. God made us. God wrote on our hearts certain laws. The socialist agenda is by definition based on theft, covetousness, laziness, violation of the commandment to honor your father and mother. I don't need to honor my parents. You're going to take care of them with your money. That's what taxes are for. Go down through the list. You shall have no other gods before me. Well, no, the state is my God. The state is my provider. Never mind Jehovah Jireh, the Lord my provider. It's Uncle Sam Jireh. Uncle Sam is my healthcare provider, food stamp provider, Section 8 housing provider, even my new cash for clunkers provider. So we have competing worldviews, and Bernie is the most honest socialist on the stage. Now, Democrat machine cannot afford to have Bernie win the nomination. They can't, because of the devastation that it will bring on every other race on the ballot. So what are they going to do? Can you spell B-R-O-K-E-R? Bloomberg. I'll be right back. That was a joke. Broker, Bloomberg. Don't go away.
I also want to speak tonight directly to Muslims throughout the world. We respect your faith. Its teachings are good and peaceful. And those who commit evil in the name of Allah blaspheme the name of Allah.
We have reaffirmed again and again that the United States is not and never will be at war with Islam. Islam teaches peace.
Islam is a religion of peace. They are not Muslims, they are monsters.
We've been told that Muslim terrorists have hijacked the peaceful religion of Islam. But Islamic art and literature tell a very different story. To know the truth, we only have to study the narrative of the founder of Islam, Mohammed, in his own words. All right, we're going to talk about brokerage and Bloomberg in a minute, but first let's quickly look at the other candidates. Buttigieg is doing better than a lot of people, including myself, expected. I thought he was going to do well, and I've told you repeatedly that he has a fantastic on-the-ground campaign staff. His ground game is phenomenal, and he's raised a ton of money because of the demographics of the homosexual community. The amount of money that they make and the amount of expendable income that they have by virtue of the fact that most of them don't have children, okay? So he's been able to raise an exorbitant amount of money, and a disproportionate amount of that money has come from the homosexual community or gay activist community, or people who just love him because of the way he lives, his lifestyle. No one is going to say that Pete Buttigieg has the experience to be the president of the United States, okay? I don't care how clever he is or how good his speeches are. He was a mayor of a failing town, okay? But I still think, in my heart of hearts, I believe he's still running for vice president. Whether it's Sanders or Biden or Bloomberg, don't count Pete Buttigieg out for VP because of his ground game and because of his ability to raise money and because he brings some enthusiasm from young voters because of the perversions that he embraces on a sexual level and his promotion of baby killing. And he says that climate change is the existential threat of our lifetime. So he's ringing the right bells for the far left wing of the Democrat Party. All right, Elizabeth Sanders. She peaked too early. Elizabeth Warren, I apologize. She peaked too early. People really thought she was going to do well, maybe win Iowa, do well, maybe win New Hampshire. And at points, she was polling ahead or right at neck and neck for first place in those states. And she peaked too early. And now she's on her way down, and she's not polling well in Nevada or in South Carolina. So if she doesn't pull in a third place tonight or tomorrow morning when we see the results in New Hampshire, she could be in a bit of trouble. This is about fundraising, people. Amy Klobuchar is trying to get third place. After the debate Friday night, the Democrat debate last week, she brought in $2 million. That is going to give her breathing space for Nevada and South Carolina and for the beginning of Super Tuesday. But Super Tuesday is where people run out of gas, stall, fall over with a cataclysmic heart attack, or it's where they're able to press on. Enter Mike Bloomberg. Bernie Sanders has the infrastructure to do well on Super Tuesday. If Bloomberg was not in the race, Sanders would probably be the nominee. At this point, it would come down to a Sanders-Biden runoff. Buttigieg would begin to fade as the party began to panic. The party would want to rally around Biden to stop Sanders because Sanders is a socialist, pseudo-communist ideologue, and there's enough smart people in the Democrat Party to know that you can't make open war on Wall Street and the pharmaceuticals and the entire healthcare tradition and America's military and make war on the Second Amendment and demand that all private insurance is obliterated. You can't do all that right now in one fell swoop and win the presidency. You just can't. All right? So enter Mike Bloomberg. Bloomberg is meeting right now, phone calls, texts, emails, with the highest level of the Democrat Party. Biden would have been the first pick for a lot of them, but Biden is beginning to flag. He's looking bad on stage. He's attacking people in his own rallies. He's not firing on all cylinders, or maybe his cylinders have gotten so weak that this is it. This is all that's left. Sanders is a monster right now. He is in his stride. Bloomberg has the mother's milk. Bloomberg has money. And Super Tuesday is going to see the collapse of at least 2 or 3 of these candidates because they're not going to have the money to go on. And if they've overspent just a little bit, they're going to be in debt, and then they're not going to be able to pay their staff, and they're not going to be able to put TV ads on because you don't get credit with TV ads. You have to pay cash up front. So enter Bloomberg, the guy who can raise who can spend an unthinkable amount of money. Mike Bloomberg can spend an unthinkable amount of money, more money than anyone has ever been able to spend in a primary. And he's already doing well in the polls in the Super Tuesday states. So I've got to take a quick break. We'll come back, finish up this thought. But Bloomberg may be who the Democrats are talking to, saying, we've got to stop Bernie and you're our guy. Plus, there's the debt factor. I'll talk about that when I come back. Don't go away. What Would Mohammed Do? Islamic Terrorism Explained is the best movie series documentary ever produced on the life of Muhammad and Islam. How do I know? Because it's what critics are saying. John Moore, radio host and author, said, "I learned more from What Would Mohammed Do about Islam and Islamic terrorism than I've learned from everything I ever read and watched in my entire life." Best-selling author Dr. Bill Warner said, "What Would Mohammed Do is the best movie series, TV production on the life of Muhammad and Islamic terrorism that has ever been produced." Friends, this is what the experts are saying. No one has ever done what we've done. I encourage you to get 1, 2, 4 copies. Call 304-289-3700. That's 304-289-3700, or order it at the address or the website that you see on the screen. Introducing Roxy Guitar. If you're a guitar or bass player, whether you play acoustic or electric, check out Roxy Guitar. I've been playing for over 40 years and seen guitar stores all over America. I've never seen a store like Roxy Guitar. Roxy Guitar has over 700 guitars in stock, over 1,500 pedals, over 200 amps. For the beginner or price-conscious buyer, there's Michael Kelly guitars. For the serious player or professional, Roxy Guitar has the finest selection of guitar lines I've ever seen. You know I love Warrior guitars. Roxy Guitar has over 100 Warriors in stock. They have Heritage, G&L, Gretsch, John Sears, BC Rich, Duesenberg, Dean, legendary guitars at great prices, including pre-owned Gibsons, Fenders, and more. Let them know you heard about Roxy Guitar from Randall Terry and receive 10% or more off your purchase on select items. Go to roxyguitar.com. Okay, so Super Tuesday. Let's talk about it, then we're going to come to Bloomberg and brokered convention. By the time Super Tuesday hits, either just before or just after, Amy Klobuchar will pull out because she doesn't have the money to continue and she's too conservative in her views of the world to try and go into debt. Yang will pull out, or he'll just keep his name on the ballot, but he's not going to win and he knows he's not going to win. Billionaire Tom Steyer, he's going to pull out because he's not going to win any of the 4 primaries. He's not even going to come in 4th or 5th in New Hampshire. Now, he's doing well. Some polls show him in 2nd place in South Carolina, which is crazy to me. It just means he's spending a lot of money there. But he will also pull out because even though he's a billionaire, he's not going to just keep throwing money into the fire. Now bring on Mike Bloomberg. Bloomberg is worth probably $60 billion. He has said that he will put up to $1 billion of his own cold hard cash into the primary and the general election. There are people meeting with him right now that are saying to him, if Bernie Sanders is at the top of the ticket, Mike, you and I both know what's going to happen. And Mike is saying, yeah, we can't let that happen. The Democrat Party, the DNC, is sucking wind financially. They are in trouble. They're in more trouble now, would be my guess. All right, they're not letting the numbers out, but watching what's going on, reading the tea leaves, they're probably in more trouble now than they were in 2016. Now, what happened in 2016? Hillary basically bought the DNC. She had secret meetings, do you remember? And said, our campaign will take on the debt of the Democrat Party. And we will raise money for the Democrat Party. But the party has to throw its weight and its machinery and its volunteers behind us. Mike Bloomberg is in a place where he could personally bail out the Democrat Party. Well, he's not rich for his stupidity because of his lack of insight or instinct. He's going to say to them, I'll bail you out. But if it goes to a brokered nomination, I want the nomination. So he can spend enough money throughout Super Tuesday and the states that happen after that, where he might not be able to win because of the way the math works, but he could go into the convention either just ahead of Bernie Sanders or just behind him if Biden drops out. And then if it's a brokered convention, no one wins on the first ballot, then all bets are off. And Mike Bloomberg could Bloomberg could hold court and could promise the moon financially, and he could deliver it, which is why he could be, in a brokered convention scenario, he could be the candidate that faces Donald Trump and gets thumped. See you next time.